Chapter 1719. Wu Zhenju and the rest of the Liang family were stunned by Zhao Yun'er's words. Daodu was the son of the crown prince? How was that possible? Although Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshen knew that Mu Lianfeng's identity wasn't ordinary, they didn't know that Mu Lianfeng was the current crown prince. If that was true, then Daodu's identity was incomparably noble. What? Wu Zhenju asked in disbelief. He thought that he had misheard. How could Daodu be the son of the crown prince? He was clearly a bastard. Zhao Yun'er didn't know who gave birth to him. Zhao Yun'er curled her lips and said sarcastically, "Second aunt, are you deaf at such a young age? Do I need to repeat my words?" Daodu is the crown prince's son? Wu Zhenju muttered. It was already good that Liang Xiaofei was able to keep his life this time. The Zhou country had a rule that the children of nobles couldn't be casually harmed. Otherwise they would be sued in jail. Daodu is this crown prince's son. I want to ask who dares to harm him. Mu Lianfeng's cold voice sounded. His gaze fell on Wu Zhenju's body and became even more terrifying. Father. Daodu ran in front of Mu Lianfeng and hugged Mu Lianfeng's thigh. Mu Lianfeng picked up Daodu and held him in his arms. He rubbed Daodu's body and asked, "Where are you hurt? Let father take a look." Daodu raised his soft little hand and placed it in front of Mu Lianfeng. Then his soft voice sounded in Mu Lianfeng's ear, "Father, it hurts here." Mu Lianfeng glanced at Daodu's little hand. There was indeed a scratch. It was a good thing that it wasn't a big deal. Otherwise he wouldn't let the person who hurt Daodu have it easy, even if it was just a child. "Are you better now?" Much better. Later, father will help you wipe it with medicinal wine." "Yes, father." Seeing the father-son relationship between Mu Lianfeng and Daodu, the Liang family was stunned. Then, the man in front of them was the current crown prince? They might not believe it if it was someone else, but Mu Lianfeng's attire and the aura he exuded made them believe it. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi looked at Mu Lianfeng with even more dazed eyes. Crown prince. What a noble status. No wonder Mu Lianfeng looked different from the rest. He was different from the villagers. This kind of man with such an extraordinary status really made people fall head over heels for him. Wu Zhenju trembled and panicked. That? Crown prince. My family's Xiaofei really didn't do it on purpose. Please don't take it to heart. Mu Lianfeng coldly hooked his lips. Don't take it to heart? Does this crown prince's son allow you to humiliate him? Wu Zhenju was so frightened that he quickly pulled Liang Xiaofei to kneel in front of Mu Lianfeng and shouted, "Crown prince, please be magnanimous and let our family's Xiaofei go. It's all this child's fault. It's all his fault." Liang Jinhui also quickly knelt down to plead, "That's right, crown prince. Xiaofei is still a child. Please forgive him. It's our fault for not teaching him well. You can blame us." Mu Lianfeng didn't say anything. He just hugged Daodu and casually asked a few unimportant questions. Wu Zhenju and Liang Xiaofei's foreheads were covered with a layer of sweat. They were afraid that Mu Lianfeng would be unhappy and directly send Liang Xiaofei to prison. Chapter 1720. However, Liang Xiaofei didn't know any better. He broke free from Wu Zhenju's grip and got up from the ground. "Mother, why are you apologizing? Daodu beat me up like this. You have to avenge me," Liang Xiaofei said stubbornly. Wu Zhenju raised his head and reprimanded Liang Xiaofei. "You child, what are you talking about? Hurry up and kneel down." "No, I don't want to. Mother, you have to avenge me quickly. I want to teach Daodu a lesson and break his teeth. Mother, you love me the most. You have to help me." Liang Xiaofei didn't give up and shouted. Wu Zhenju glanced at Mu Lianfeng. When he saw Mu Lianfeng's sullen face, he hurriedly reprimanded Liang Xiaofei. "You damn child, if you continue to talk nonsense, I'll beat you up." If he didn't scold Liang Xiaofei like this, Liang Xiaofei would really make a scene. When Mu Lianfeng made his move, he would probably lose his life. "Mother, you're a bad person. You won't help me," Liang Xiaofei shouted arrogantly. "Then I'll deal with him myself. I'll definitely beat Daodu to death." Liang Xiaofei revealed a fierceness that didn't match his age. He was already so young. This kind of child would definitely dare to do anything when he grew up. In the end, it was because his parents spoiled him too much. They thought that he was the oldest and couldn't bear to be wronged or suffer. After being bullied, he reacted this way. Wu Zhenju's heart thumped. This damn child, it's over, it's over. If the heir heard this, he definitely wouldn't let her precious son off easily. "Who told you to talk nonsense? Who told you to talk nonsense?" Wu Zhenju was so angry that he got up from the ground and slapped Liang Xiaofei a few times. Liang Xiaofei's mouth was suddenly swollen, and he couldn't speak for a while. 2 more teeth fell out of his mouth after Wu Zhenju slapped him. Wah wah wah. Liang Xiaofei cried even more miserably. As he cried, saliva dripped from his mouth along with blood. It was a ghastly sight. The Liang family did not dare to step forward for fear of offending Mu Lianfeng. In the eyes of the first branch, Liang Xiaofei, this brat, was reaping what he sowed. Usually, it was fine for him to bully others, but this time he bullied a powerful person, so he would be badly battered. After this lesson, let's see if Liang Xiaofei dares to be so arrogant and willful in the future. Wu Zhenju did not expect that he would be so heavy-handed. He immediately felt his heart ache. After all, Liang Xiaofei was her precious son. Usually, she could not bear to even touch a single strand of his hair. This slap was so heavy that it knocked out 2 more of Liang Xiaofei's teeth. Seeing Liang Xiaofei's swollen mouth, Zhao Yun did not have a trace of sympathy. Liang Jinxiao was a soft-hearted person. After seeing this scene, he stepped forward to mediate. All right, let's forget about this matter. Not to mention being married to Mu Lianfeng as his wife, as long as she could be Mu Lianfeng's concubine, she would be happy. Being with such a handsome man was a very happy thing. Moreover, she could eat and drink well with him and live a rich life. Liang Xinyue's little thoughts were seen through by Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue was usually more reserved and low-key than Liang Xinyue. How could she be as scheming as her? Seeing Liang Xinyue shamelessly trying to attract Mu Lianfeng's attention, Liang Xinyue secretly cursed. Chapter 1722. Normally, Liang Xinzi couldn't stand Liang Xinyue's mouth, and this time she despised it even more. She silently hoped that Mu Lianfeng wouldn't look at Liang Xinyue, and that he wouldn't be captivated by Liang Xinyue's seductive appearance. What disappointed Liang Xinzi was that Mu Lianfeng did indeed look at Liang Xinyue, and his gaze was somewhat deep. When Liang Xinyue saw that she had attracted Mu Lianfeng's attention, her heart immediately bloomed with joy. She shyly lowered her head, and her movements became even more bashful. However, Liang Xinyue didn't pay attention, and the strength of her hand that was wiping Liang Xiaofei's mouth suddenly increased by quite a bit. Ah! Liang Xiaofei screamed. Liang Xinyue was shocked by Liang Xiaofei and couldn't help but scold Liang Xiaofei. What are you yelling for? Aren't you afraid of scaring people to death? Liang Xiaofei glared at Liang Xinyue and complained unhappily, Sis, you hurt me and you don't allow me to scream? Liang Xinyue rolled her eyes at Liang Xiaofei. You deserve it, who told you to cause all this trouble? I was kind enough to help you wipe your mouth, and you didn't know how to endure the pain? Liang Xiaofei's resentful gaze fell on Liang Xinyue, and he muttered, Sis, you were distracted by Daoda's father and that's why my mouth hurt. You still have the nerve to scold me. After Liang Xiaofei finished speaking, everyone in the room looked at Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue immediately blushed. When Liang Xinzi saw this, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and secretly laugh. This Liang Xiaofei's words were too honest, but what he said was the truth. Looking at Liang Xinyue, he felt a little embarrassed. A big girl like her was actually staring at another man like a love-struck fool. Liang Xinyue's face turned even redder. She was a girl after all. She still had some sense of shame. Liang Xinyue used even more force and scolded Liang Xiaofei. Do you still know how to talk, you damn child? It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Liang Xiaofei cried out in pain again. Liang Xinyue snorted. She couldn't wait to teach Liang Xiaofei a lesson. She didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. Liang Xiaofei angrily pushed Liang Xinyue's hand away. When he saw Wu Zhenju come in, he hurriedly rushed to Wu Zhenju and complained to Wu Zhenju, Mother, don't let sister wipe my mouth. She wiped my mouth until it's rotten. It hurts so much. Wu Zhenju glanced at Liang Xiaofei's mouth and couldn't help but scold Liang Xinyue. Don't you know how to wipe Xiaofei's mouth? Can't you be gentler and more careful? Why did you put so much force into it? Look at Xiaofei's mouth, it's even more swollen. Liang Xinyue curled her lips and said, He deserves it. Who told him to spout nonsense? Liang Xiaofei was unconvinced and complained, Sister, when did I spout nonsense? Weren't you staring at other people's men like a love-struck fool? You, Guocaixia couldn't help but chuckle. She said to Wu Zhenju faintly, Second sister-in-law, we all saw this. Xiaofei didn't lie. Was indeed staring at the heir apparent. Wu Zhenju's face darkened. He naturally knew what Guocaixia meant. Wasn't she just saying that her daughter was shameless? How could an unmarried girl stare at other men and even act like a love-struck fool? Liang Xinyue's face also darkened. She glared at Guocaixia. Chapter 1723. Liang Xinzi snorted softly, That's right. When the time comes, I'll be implicated. People will think that I'm the same as her. I'm not that shameless. Liang Xinyue and Wu Jinju's expressions became even uglier. Liang Xinyue had a bad temper. She replied unhappily, "Who are you calling shameless? Don't tell me you don't know who I'm talking about? You? Don't go too far." Liang Xinyue gritted her teeth. Guocaixia hurriedly protected her daughter and reprimanded Liang Xinyue. Second sister-in-law looked this child Xinyue. I really don't know what to say. It's fine if she stares at the air, but she doesn't even let others talk about it. Aren't we doing this for her own good? What if the next time she goes out and meets a handsome man staring at her again? Won't she be laughed at to death? Wu Jinju lost face, but he couldn't refute Guocaishia's words. He could only reprimand Liang Xinyue. "Did you hear what your eldest aunt said? You're an unmarried girl. Next time, don't lose your composure and let others see you as a joke." Liang Xinyue gritted her teeth. "I know, mother." Zhao Yun watched this farce and felt that it was somewhat interesting. It seemed that every household was not so peaceful. Even her uncle's family, who usually felt that it was good to be together as a family, were secretly competing with each other. No one liked the other. Through this matter she could extract some information. Zhao Yun restrained the smile at the corner of her mouth. She pulled Mu Lianfeng and had Mu Lianfeng rest in another room. Her man couldn't be coveted by other women. Looking at Mu Lianfeng's departing figure, Liang Xinyue was a bit disappointed. It was good to see such a handsome man for a while. It was pleasing to the eyes. Liang Xinzi was also a bit disappointed. Like Liang Xinyue, she also hoped that Mu Lianfeng would take a look at her. However, she was more self-aware than Liang Xinyue. How could such an arrogant man like him take a fancy to a woman like her? After Mu Lianfeng left, Guocaixia couldn't help but lean in front of Liang Jinxiao and gossip. "Eldest sister, is Daoda really the heir's son?" Liang Jinxiao replied, "Yes, he is." Guocaixia sighed. "That is to say that Yun'er was not pregnant with a bastard, but the son of the heir." After Guocaixia finished speaking, she realized that she had let the cat out of the bag and hurriedly explained, "Eldest sister, I didn't mean anything else. People were spreading rumors that Yun'er was pregnant with a bastard. I didn't expect it to be the heir's son. This is too unbelievable." Liang Jinxiao pursed her lips. People misunderstood Yun'er in the past. Fortunately, the heir's son has acknowledged her and cleared Daodu's name. Guocaixia couldn't help but feel envious. If Daodu was the heir's son, wouldn't his eldest sister's family become rich together with him? With the heir's status, wouldn't their family be able to live a good life? She was wondering why his eldest sister's family was living so comfortably. They were building a big house and living here and there. It turned out that they had hooked up with the heir's son. With the heir's son around, how could they not live well? Eldest sister Yun'er is really lucky to have given birth to a son for the heir's son. She has finally earned back all the hardships she suffered in the past few years. Liang Jinxiao nodded in agreement. Yes, Yun'er did suffer a lot because of the groundless framing. Chapter 1724. From Guocaishia's point of view, there was nothing special about Zhao Yun'er. At most, her looks could be considered delicate, but she was not the kind of beauty that would attract people's attention at a glance. With Master Shizi's status and looks, he would definitely not fall for a girl like Zhao Yun'er. So Zhao Yun'er must have used some tricks to get pregnant with Master Shizi's child, right? If that was the case, Guocaixia would find out more about it so that her daughter could give it a try. If her daughter could give birth to Master Shizi's children, she would be able to live a life of luxury like Liang Jinxiao's family. Liang Jinxiao was slightly stunned. She really did not know how to answer Guocaishia's question. She did not even know how Zhao Yun'er had gotten pregnant with Master Shizi's child. So she could only reply, "This was an accident." Guocaixia thought that Liang Jinxiao deliberately kept it a secret because she felt that Zhao Yun'er's pregnancy with Master Shizi's child was not honorable. She pursed her lips resentfully. She was curious, but she was too embarrassed to continue asking. An accident? How could it be an accident? Why did such a good thing happen to their family instead of other people? Anyway, she did not believe it. Zhao Yun'er led Mu Lianfeng into the house. When Mu Lianfeng saw that Zhao Yun'er was not in high spirits, he could not help but ask, "Yun'er, what's the matter?" Zhao Yun'er pursed her lips and said to Mu Lianfeng, "Sai, I'm amazed by your face." "What's wrong with my face? It's too easy to attract bad suitors." Mu Lianfeng's face twitched. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "Yun'er, you can't blame me for this. I didn't want to look like this. I was born this way. Why don't I use the knife to cut myself a few times now? If I get a scar later, I won't be handsome anymore." There definitely won't be other women staring at me. Naturally, I won't attract any rotten peach blossoms. Mu Lianfeng called out to Zhao Yuner. This man was a little too harsh on himself. Forget it. You have such a beautiful face. It would be a waste to have a scar on it. But you can go out less in the future. You can only show it to me. As Zhao Yuner spoke, she moved closer to Mu Lianfeng and lifted Mu Lianfeng's chin, teasing him ambiguously. However, Zhao Yuner didn't know that her actions had drawn fire to herself. Mu Lianfeng suddenly pulled Zhao Yuner into his arms. Zhao Yuner whispered, Mu Lianfeng, what are you trying to do? I want to do you. Zhao Yuner choked again. She blinked in disbelief. Did these words really come out of Mu Lianfeng's mouth? That's not possible, right? Usually Mu Lianfeng was very serious. When did he become so coquettish and say such words? What are you saying? Zhao Yuner blushed and pouted. I said, I want to do you. Mu Lianfeng repeated. Zhao Yuner glared at Mu Lianfeng and said unhappily, saying such shameless words in broad daylight, aren't you afraid of being heard by others? Don't you have any shame? In any case, you're still an heir, aren't you? Mu Lianfeng didn't take it seriously and replied, so what if I'm an heir? Can't an heir be interested in having sex? Confucius said that food and sex are human nature. If I say such words to my wife, who can laugh at me? Chapter 1725. Shameless. Your skin is getting thicker and thicker. And you're getting more and more indecent. You're completely different from before. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but ridicule. Mu Lianfeng chuckled. Yuner, you're my wife. What's wrong with being a little thick-skinned in front of you? Don't you think so? Yuner, do you like my serious appearance or do you like my indecent appearance? As Mu Lianfeng spoke, he leaned in front of Zhao Yuner and wanted to kiss Zhao Yuner. However, he was pushed away by Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner struggled out of Mu Lianfeng's arms. I'm going to cook with my mother. I'll help you. No need. You should rest. Don't go out for a stroll so that you won't be remembered by my two cousins again. Mu Lianfeng smiled helplessly. Alright then. Come out after we eat. Zhao Yuner said and walked out of the house with a blush on her face. What happened just now still made her feel a little shy, especially when Mu Lianfeng said, I want to do you. Zhao Yuner thought of the explosive scene when she and Mu Lianfeng had sex. It was indeed enough to make her blush and her heart beat faster. Zhao Yuner shook her head and hurriedly drove these messy thoughts out of her mind. Because the Liang family was coming at noon, their family had to entertain them. Fortunately, they bought a lot of things back from Shangyang City today. They casually made a few dishes to entertain them. Zhao Yuner made a fish and some meat. In addition, she stir-fried a few vegetables. After a while, a fragrant smell came out of the kitchen. The Liang family was a little impatient from waiting. After rushing for such a long time, their stomachs were already empty. When they smelled the fragrance of the dishes, they were naturally hungry. As soon as Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui smelled the fragrance of Zhao Yuner's dishes, they started to savor the taste even more. Yuner's cooking is really good. This dish is so delicious that I want to eat it just by smelling it. Isn't that so? I haven't eaten Yuner's cooking for a while and I've been missing it. I can finally eat it again today. We didn't believe you when you said that Yuner's cooking was delicious. Now it seems that it's true. I'm drooling just by smelling it. I can't wait to eat it. Xianxia couldn't help but tease them. At the same time, his heart was filled with emotion. He thought that in addition to Zhao Yuner's good cooking skills, money was also very important for the dishes to be so fragrant. If he didn't have money, how could he eat meat? How could you put so much oil in the stir-fried dishes? Therefore, in general, it was because Zhao Yuner was pregnant with the heir's child that she could live such a good life. It was a hot day and the kitchen was very hot, especially in the afternoon. After a while, Zhao Yuner was sweating profusely in the kitchen. It wasn't really the hot season yet. When the time came, who knew how hot it would be? The 21st century was still better. At least there was an electric fan. It wouldn't be so hot anymore. When it was almost time to eat, Zhao Yuner's second aunt and youngest aunt also came over. When Liang Jinfen saw that the Liang family was also here, he happily came over. Eldest brother, second brother, you're here too? Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui smiled and nodded in agreement. This time, Liang Jinfen was the same as last time. He came over to Zhao Yuner's house with his family. He couldn't wait to have an extra mouth to feed and take advantage of it. Chapter 1726. Otherwise, her family and Zhao Yuner's family were separated by a few villages and had to walk a long way. Her mother was also reluctant to rent an ox cart and had to walk all the way here. After walking such a long distance, she was so tired that her legs were sore. One trip was already torturous enough. After going back last time, she had to rest in bed for a few days before recovering. After seeing Zhao Yun'er's house with more than 10 rooms, Su Lady couldn't help but sigh. This house was indeed built with style. Their Su family was already considered a wealthy family in the village. The few brick houses they built were envied by the villagers. Where would they see a house with more than 10 brick houses built at once? Zhao Yun'er's house was not only the best house in their village, but it was unlikely that they could find a better house than Zhao Yun'er's house in the surrounding villages. Su Lady's eyes revealed a trace of envy. If her house was built like this, how good would it be? Or if the family she married into in the future had such a good house, she would be satisfied. Liang Jinfen went over to the Liang family and continued to exchange a few words. Then he scurried around Zhao Yun'er's house and looked inside and out. After looking around, he muttered sourly, "Ai, now among us brothers and sisters, eldest sister's family is living the best. Look at this house, they built more than 10 rooms. Before eldest sister separated from the family, she didn't live so well. Ai, it's really 30 years in the east and 30 years in the west. Eldest sister's family suddenly became rich." Old Madame Liang didn't think as much as Liang Jinfen. Her daughter's family was living a good life and she was happy from the bottom of her heart. She laughed and said, "Isn't this normal? No one's family will always be poor and no one's family will always be rich. As long as we work hard, we will definitely live a good life." Old Madame Liang's words were also for her 2 sons to hear. As long as her 2 sons worked hard, their Liang family's life wouldn't be too bad. After all, Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun were bricklayers. In this era, bricklayers' wages were not low. They earned a lot in a year, and with the harvest from the fields they had a lot of income. "Mother, you're wrong. We can't compare to eldest sister's family." Guocaixia couldn't help but say, "After all, we're just an ordinary family. Eldest sister is now the heir's mother-in-law. How could it be the same? With Lord Shizhi around, even if he doesn't do any work, eldest sister's family will still be able to live well." Old Madame Liang smiled. "We don't need to compare ourselves with Qiaoer's family, as long as we are considered good in the village. After all, there are too few people in the village who can build more than a dozen brick houses." Guocaixia replied casually, "Mother, you're right. Their Liang family was doing well in the village. They had a lot of land and the 2 brothers' salaries were high. They could be considered rich. Of course they couldn't compare to those big landlords." If Guocaixia hadn't seen Zhao Yun'er's family before, she would have been very satisfied. But after seeing Zhao Yun'er's family and living in such a big house, Guocaixia couldn't be balanced in her heart. There was a good saying, there was no harm in comparison. Who would want their life to be worse than others? Especially when Liang Jinxiao's family's life was not just a little bit worse than their Liang families. Now that they suddenly became rich, it always gave people a kind of unreal feeling. Chapter 1727. When Guocaixia saw Liang Jinfen's puzzled expression, she smiled and explained, "Second sister, don't you know about eldest sister's family? Daodu is the heir apparent's son, so isn't eldest sister the heir apparent's mother-in-law?" Liang Jinfen blinked and replied in disbelief, "What? Daodu is the heir apparent's son? Sister-in-law, are you sure you're not mistaken?" Guocaixia pursed her lips. "What are you saying, second sister? How could you be mistaken about such an important matter? Are you sure you're not mistaken?" "Of course I'm not mistaken. I don't know the specifics either, you can ask eldest sister." "Oh right, the heir apparent is in the house, you should be able to see him when we eat later." Liang Jinfen continued to open her mouth, as if she had indigestion. How could this be? How could Daodu, that little bastard, be the heir apparent's son? If eldest sister was really the heir apparent's mother-in-law, then it would be out of the ordinary. Her daughter's marriage to the Huang family already gave her a lot of face and made her feel very proud. What's more, Zhao Yun'er was actually with the heir apparent. Guocaixia did not continue to speak to Liang Jinfen about this matter. The more she spoke, the more unhappy she felt. Xuanhuan asked Liang Jinfen and her family to drink some water. Liang Jinfen gulped down a few mouthfuls of water and was not in the mood to sit around idly. Her eyes were fixed on Zhao Yun'er's house. "Eldest brother-in-law, your house must have cost a lot of money to build, right?" Liang Jinfen asked jealously. Zhao Wenhua smiled sheepishly. "Yes, it cost a bit of money." "How much is a bit?" "A few dozen taels." Zhao Wenhua replied. "How much is a few dozen taels exactly?" "Eldest brother-in-law, you have to be clear about this matter, otherwise won't you be wasting your breath?" I don't know the details. Many things were bought by Yun. However, the cost of building the foundation, building materials, and the wages of the workers would cost at least 60 to 70 taels. In addition to the furniture in the house and other things that I can't calculate, it should be around 80 to 90 taels. Liang Jinfen had originally planned to go back and encourage the old man of the Su family to build such a large house. However, when he heard xuanhuan say that it would cost 80 to 90 taels, wouldn't that mean that it would cost almost 100 taels? The old man of the Su family was very stingy. It was impossible for him to take out so much money to build a house. He might not even have that much money in his hands. In other words, her family would be completely suppressed by her elder sister's family in the future. Liang Jinfen thought about how he had looked down on Liang Jinxiao's family and humiliated them. Now that there was such a big reversal, he felt like he had been slapped in the face. He was very unhappy. She was very clear about her elder sister's and her brother-in-law's abilities. The reason why her elder sister's family was doing well was because they had a good daughter like Zhao Yun'er. Previously, she had made a lot of money by setting up a breakfast stall. Lady, look at how capable your cousin is. You should learn from her in the future, okay? You're both cousins, so why is there such a big difference? Liang Jinfen complained to Su Lady. He blamed his poor life on his daughters. If his two daughters could be like Zhao Yun'er, then wouldn't she be able to live a good life? Chapter 1728. Liang Jinxiao was not a fool and naturally understood this. She rebuked Su Lady. I'm not asking you to learn how to make money like Yun'er. I'm asking you to be as smart as your cousin. Making money depends on your brain. Think about other ways to make money. Su Lady pursed her lips and complained, Mother, it's easy for you to say. How can I make money just because you say so? I also want to use my brain to think about it, but I can't think of anything. Liang Jinfen felt uncomfortable and kept lamenting that her daughter was not as good as her elder sister. It was not that she was not as good as her elder sister, but it was because of the influence of the next generation. The Liang family sat in the hall of Zhao Yun'er's house, each with their own thoughts. Many of the brothers could not bear to see anyone living better than them. Zhao Yun'er's family suddenly became too rich, which made them feel uncomfortable. Liang Jinyu was the last to arrive at Zhao Yun'er's house. Because Zhao Yun'er's family was holding a banquet tomorrow, she was informed of the time. She had to send the money over on the last day, otherwise it would be too late on the banquet day. It was the busy period of the farming season. Liang Jinyu's family rented a lot of land, so she was very busy. This time she came to send the money over alone. The rest of the family did not come with her. Unlike the rest of the Liang family, who were very leisurely and came together as a whole family. When Liang Jinyu saw her relatives as soon as she entered the door, she quickly greeted them with a smile on her face. She looked very happy. Usually she lived a poor life and did not have much time. Most of the time she was working to earn money. Basically, she did not interact much with her siblings. However, they were her relatives after all, especially her brothers and mother. It was impossible to say that she was not excited when she saw them. When Liang Jinyu saw old Madame Liang, she quickly went over. Her nose was a little sour as she greeted, Mother, you're here too? Old Madame Liang replied with a smile. She pulled Liang Jinyu's hand and sat down beside her. Seeing Liang Jinyu's thin and old appearance, old Madame Liang felt a little distressed. Among her children, Liang Jinyu's life was the most difficult. She was clearly the youngest child in the family, but she looked older than the others. Country people were like this. They worked too much and were too tired, so they looked older. It was all because of exhaustion. It's your elder sister's big day. I have nothing to do at home, so I naturally came to join in the fun. I know that you and your second sister will come. Our family can be considered together. Old Madame Liang said. Liang Jinyu responded, but she was a little choked up. She could tell that her mother missed her a little. Wasn't she the same? Which child wouldn't want to be filial to their parents? Unfortunately, they didn't have the conditions to do so. Compared to old Madame Liang, the rest of the Liang family and Liang Jinfen's family did not have such a good attitude towards Liang Jinyu. In their eyes, Liang Jinyu was a poor person. She was even poorer than the average poor person. 2. T. Chapter 1729. Liang Jinyu was used to them being like this. Apart from feeling a little disappointed, she didn't say anything else. Her siblings were different, so she didn't say anything. She could talk more with her mother. Liang Jinyu hadn't seen her mother for a while. She easily noticed that old Madame Liang's hair had turned a lot whiter. She couldn't help but sigh. Mother, the days pass so quickly. Old Madame Liang smiled and replied, Isn't that so? Hey mother, I don't have time to visit you. How have you been these days? Old Madame Liang said, I'm doing well. I have your eldest and second brothers and your eldest and second sisters-in-law. How can I be badly served by them? You, on the other hand, have lost a lot of weight since the last time. Your body can't take it if you continue like this. Don't tire yourself out. Don't force yourself to do work that you can't do. Old Madame Liang looked at Liang Jinyu with a touch of heartache. She used to feel sorry for her eldest daughter. Now that her eldest daughter's family was doing well, only her youngest daughter was not doing well. She hoped that her youngest daughter's family would also be doing well. Seeing Liang Jinyu like this, it was impossible for her to continue. Liang Jinyu sighed. Mother, I know. Don't worry about me. Old Madame Liang took Liang Jinyu's hand and patted it. Xiaoyun happened to be going into the house to get something. When she came out of the kitchen and saw Liang Jinyu, she smiled and greeted Liang Jinyu. You're here? Zhao Yun'er's politeness was in stark contrast to her family's indifference. It made Liang Jinyu feel very touched. Liang Jinyu also smiled and replied, Yes, I just came. And have a good rest. Sit down and drink a glass of water. Zhao Yun'er said and specially poured a glass of water for Liang Jinyu. Liang Jinfin, who was sitting on the stool, couldn't stay calm. Why was it that when she and Liang Jinyu were sitting in the same room, Zhao Yun'er treated her like air and ignored her? She didn't even greet her and instead greeted Liang Jinyu, this poor wretch? Liang Jinfin coughed softly and said to Zhao Yun'er unwillingly, Yun'er, why didn't you pour me a cup of water instead of your aunt? Zhao Yun'er glanced at Liang Jinfin. Zhao Yun'er hated this second aunt of hers. If it weren't for her parents and the fact that they were relatives, she would have thrown Liang Jinfin out of her house long ago. How could she allow Liang Jinfin to pollute her vision? Second aunt, don't you have hands? Why do you want me to pour it for you? Zhao Yun'er said bluntly, making Liang Jinfin's expression turn ugly. Liang Jinfin awkwardly tugged at the corner of her mouth. Yun'er girl, didn't you just pour a cup for your aunt? I'm your second aunt, why don't you pour me a cup too? We're both elders, you can't be biased. Chapter 1730. Liang Jinfin realized that he was the only one speaking. The rest of the Liang family was silent, and he couldn't help but blush. What was going on? Why weren't they helping her to speak up for Zhao Yun'er? They were making it seem like she was being unreasonable. Zhao Yun'er sneered and said, Second aunt, you have to make yourself clear today. How am I being unreasonable? You. Liang Jinfin met Zhao Yun'er's frightening eyes, and his imposing manner immediately weakened. What about me? Second aunt, do you have nothing to say? Zhao Yun'er continued to question him coldly. All right, second sister-in-law, it's just a glass of water. Why did you have to make Yun'er pour it for you? It's not like you can't pour it yourself. Xianxia spoke up for Liang Jinfin. On one hand she helped Liang Jinfin out of the situation, and on the other hand she fawned on Zhao Yun'er. It could be said that both sides benefited. Although Liang Jinfin was unhappy, he didn't continue to say anything. Zhao Yun'er, that wretched girl, couldn't be too calculative with her. Otherwise her liver would explode from anger. After Liang Jinyu drank the water in the glass, she looked at Liang Jinfin apologetically. She felt that it was all her fault. If it weren't for her, her second sister wouldn't have had a conflict with Zhao Yun'er and made things unpleasant. Aunt, please continue to sit. Seeing Liang Jinyu stand up again, Zhao Yun'er hurriedly called out to her. Liang Jinyu shook her head. No, Yun'er girl, I have to go back. As Liang Jinyu spoke, she took out a red packet from her sleeve and handed it to Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er girl, this is the gift money for building your house. Zhao Yun'er accepted the gift money and asked Liang Jinyu in confusion, Aunt, why are you in such a hurry to go back? I still have to work when I get back. There's a lot of work at home. I have to finish it quickly. Liang Jinyu replied with a smile. There's no need to rush. It doesn't matter if we work a little less. Besides, it's not like there's no one else working in your house. Liang Jinyu's mouth twitched. In fact, she didn't want to trouble Zhao Yun'er's family. If she stayed for too long, she didn't know what would happen later. She came to Zhao Yun'er's place, gave the gift money and saw her family. That was enough. Yun'er, I can't rest assured if I'm not at home. I'm afraid that they won't do a good job. Liang Jinyu made up an excuse with a guilty conscience. You have to wait until lunch before you go back. You can't just come for a while and leave without resting, right? Zhao Yun'er continued to persuade him to stay. Yun'er, I've already eaten. Don't stay to eat. Zhao Yun'er didn't believe it. And I think you ate breakfast. You spend a lot of time on the road. It's definitely not lunch. It's still early. Seeing that her lie was exposed, Liang Jinyu was very embarrassed. Chapter 1732. After a while, he would set up the pigsty and wait for his aunt's family to finish their farm work. Then he could start his pig-rearing plan. In this day and age, if people were diligent and used their brains, their lives would definitely not be too bad. She couldn't stand the other members of the Liang family, so she had to help her aunt. Xiaoyun didn't want the Liang family to stay in her house for too long. It was better for them to leave as soon as they finished eating. She sped up and stirred the vegetables in the wok. After a while, Xiaoyun brought the piping hot dishes into the hall. Yun girl, are the dishes ready? Liang Jinfen couldn't wait to ask. Xiaoyun ignored him, but Liang Jinxiao, who followed behind her, responded, "Yes, second sister. The dishes are ready. I'll bring them over to eat now." Liang Jinfen's face lit up when he heard that the dishes were ready to eat. He knew that the dishes would definitely be delicious just by smelling the aroma. The most important thing was that there was meat. One had to know that to the villagers, meat was too precious. They could only eat it once in a while. This time they had meat to eat at Zhao Yiner's house. It was enough to satisfy their cravings. "Big sister, I'll help serve the dishes." It was rare for Liang Jinfen to be so attentive. Liang Jinyu had been diligent just now, so she had to do the same this time. Otherwise, people would say that she was too lazy and didn't do anything. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing to eat later. Of course, the most important thing was that she could eat earlier and quickly serve the dishes on the table. How could Zhao Yun not see through Liang Jinfen's intentions? He wasn't enthusiastic when he was working, but no one was more anxious than her when it came to serving the dishes. This kind of person was really disgusting. Zhao Yun rolled her eyes but didn't say anything. "No need, second aunt, just sit down. Your body is precious, so I don't dare to trouble you to do it," Zhao Yun said sarcastically. Liang Jinfen smiled awkwardly. "What are you talking about? It's just serving dishes. It's not that tiring," Liang Jinxiao comforted her. "It's all right, second sister. Just sit down and rest. You don't have to serve the dishes." "All right then," Liang Jinfen replied bitterly. It was one thing to not let her serve the dishes, but she was too lazy to stand up and run errands. She didn't know how to appreciate favors. After Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao went to the kitchen, Liang Jinxiao couldn't help but remind Zhao Yuner, "Hey Yuner, don't argue with your second aunt." Zhao Yuner pursed her lips. "I just can't stand seeing her like that. Mother, don't give in to her later." Liang Jinxiao sighed. After all, Liang Jinfen was her younger sister. She couldn't treat her badly. Zhao Yuner was also very clear about her likes and dislikes. If she didn't like something, she would show her displeasure. Her second sister was indeed a little embarrassed just now. Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao neatly served all the dishes to the table. There were more than 10 dishes in total, which was more than enough to eat. The Liang family and Liang Jinfen's family stared at the dishes on the table with shining eyes. How could they eat so well? The dishes on the table were not inferior to the usual banquets. Zhao Wenhua gestured to everyone in the house. "Everyone sit down at the table. Let's eat." Everyone in the house gathered around the table and took their seats. Fortunately, Zhao Yuner's table was very big. Otherwise, it would be impossible for everyone to sit at the table. Although it was a little crowded, eating at the table was better than standing. Chapter 1733. Fortunately, these people did not have to stay in his house for long. After serving them in the afternoon, they quickly left. After everyone in the house sat down, Liang Xinyue's disgusted voice sounded. "I want to change seats." Everyone looked at Liang Xinyue. They did not know why Liang Xinyue suddenly said that. "Yue, what's wrong?" Wu Zhenju asked with concern. Liang Xinyue frowned and stood up from the stool. "I don't want to sit with Auntie. Auntie smells so strong. It stinks." Liang Xinyue was very direct. She did not care about Liang Jinyu's face at all. Her eyes revealed undisguised disdain. As she spoke, Liang Xinyue even pinched her nose, looking as if she did not want to smell Liang Jinyu's scent. Liang Jinyu's face immediately turned red when she heard Liang Xinyue's words. She was naturally embarrassed that she was called smelly. However, Liang Xinyue was not talking nonsense. Liang Jinyu's scent was indeed very strong. Because she had been busy working and went out in the morning, she was covered in sweat. Her clothes were soaked by her sweat. Moreover, she had rushed over for such a long time. Now that she was covered in the smell of sweat, most people would not be able to stand it. Liang Xinyue was a girl who did not do much work. She was a clean person. It was normal that Liang Xinyue could not stand the smell of sweat on her body. Liang Jinfen mocked Liang Jinyu. Her eyes were filled with disdain. Isn't that so? I smelled it when I walked in. It was indeed very smelly. Third sister, you should have been more careful when you came out. If you were in this house it would have been fine. But now that you're out here you're smelling other people. Liang Jinyu was even more embarrassed. She smiled embarrassedly and said, Second sister, I didn't do it on purpose. I left in a hurry today and did not change my clothes before coming over. Sigh, poor people are poor. Liang Jinfen rolled her eyes at Liang Jinyu and pinched her nose like Liang Xinyue. Old Madame Liang glanced at Liang Xinyue and Liang Jinfen and said, Don't talk nonsense. It's obvious that you've sweated a lot to create this smell. It's very hot now. How can you not sweat when you go out to work? Last, you're not used to hardships. Later I'll let you work in the fields. You'll get used to the smell after you sweat. Guocaixia echoed, That's right. Xinyue is too delicate. We are all countrymen. How can we not stand the smell of sweat? We are not the daughters of rich families. We are used to the smell of perfume. Liang Xinyue glared at Guocaixia. She knew that Guocaixia was deliberately scolding her. Liang Jinhui was embarrassed and scolded Liang Xinyue, You're a big girl and still don't know how to behave. After all, your aunt is your elder. How can you talk to her like that? Hurry up and sit down. There are no other seats here. It's very crowded when all of us sit together. Where can you sit if you don't sit next to your aunt? Liang Xinyue muttered unhappily, Then who's going to change seats with me? I won't sit next to my aunt. The smell makes me uncomfortable. I won't be able to eat later. Liang Jinyu's face became even more embarrassed. She said apologetically, Second brother, how about I stand and you sit down? The smell on my body is really too strong. It's affecting your meal. Chapter 1734. Zhao Yuner coldly glanced at Liang Xinyue. What a thing. Sure enough, Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju had the same temperament. Like mother, like daughter. They had no manners at all. Liang Xinyue was a little flustered by Zhao Yuner's cold gaze. She muttered, Why are you looking at me like that? Zhao Yuner chuckled and replied, I'm thinking about how some people can be so thick-skinned. Liang Xinyue wasn't a fool. She naturally understood that Zhao Yuner was saying that she was thick-skinned. Zhao Yuner continued, This is my home. Little aunt is my elder. She must sit and eat. If you can't get used to the smell of little aunt and can't eat, then don't eat. Liang Xinyue bit her lower lip angrily. She didn't expect Zhao Yuner to be so protective of Liang Jinyu. Wasn't she just a poor ghost? Her body was so smelly. Zhao Yuner must be deliberately going against her. She just casually said it so that Liang Jinyu could leave or change seats. It was impossible for her not to eat. At this moment her stomach was in a panic. With a table full of good dishes, she had already begun to swallow her saliva. After being scolded by Zhao Yuner, Liang Xinyue could only swallow her anger and no longer speak. Seeing that Liang Xinyue finally stopped, Zhao Yuner coldly hooked up the corner of her mouth and snorted. AI. Liang Jinyu sighed. She still felt that it was her fault. So, she discussed with Zhao Yuner, Yuner girl, how about I change seats? Your girl probably can't get used to the smell. You are come to mother. Old Madame Liang called out to Liang Jinyu. Others disdained Liang Jinyu. As a mother she couldn't disdain her own daughter. Moreover, he shouldn't have despised it in the first place. Liang Jinyu replied, Yes, mother? As Liang Jinyu spoke, she changed her position and landed beside Liang Jinxiao. After this change, Liang Shizi suffered. On Liang Jinyu's left was old Madame Liang, and on her right was Liang Xinzi. Now that Liang Xinzi smelled the strong scent on Liang Jinyu's body, she frowned. She cursed Liang Xinyue in her heart. If it weren't for her, she wouldn't be so unlucky. However, Liang Xinyue was a bit more sensible than Liang Xinyue. Even though she was unhappy, she could only endure it and not say anything. Otherwise, the elders would say that she and Liang Xinyue were just as immature. Other than her looks, which part of her was inferior to Liang Xinyue? Which part of her was inferior to Liang Xinyue? Seeing Liang Xinzi sitting next to Liang Jinyu, Liang Xinyue was secretly pleased. She would let her cousin smell the stench on her aunt. Her expression of being unable to speak of her bitterness was really pleasing. Yuner girl, go call the heir out for dinner. Zhao Wenhua called out to Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner nodded, and father, I'll go now. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi's eyes immediately lit up when they heard that the heir apparent had come out to eat. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. When they thought of Mu Lianfeng's handsome face, the two girls shyly lowered their heads. Zhao Yuner went into the room to call Mu Lianfeng out. Once they arrived in the hall, Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi's eyes involuntarily fell on Mu Lianfeng. When Zhao Yuner saw this, she couldn't help but shake her head. What happened to the modesty of ancient girls? She didn't see it from her two cousins. Chapter 1735. When Mu Lianfeng saw that the table was full, he asked Zhao Yuner, "Yuner, where do you think I should sit?" He would naturally sit wherever Zhao Yuner arranged for him to sit. "Heir apparent, I have a seat here. Come and sit." Liang Xinyue could not wait to greet Mu Lianfeng. She looked at Mu Lianfeng with sparkling eyes full of anticipation. Liang Xinyue blurted out without thinking. She did not realize how embarrassing it was for a young lady like her to say such words. Mu Lianfeng only glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently and did not say anything. Zhao Yuner looked at Liang Xinyue with displeasure. It seemed that this younger cousin of hers had thoughts about her man that she should not have. Now she was shamelessly saying such words. Liang Xinyue did not know how her parents taught her. Liang Xinyue secretly cursed Liang Xinyue in her heart. She was too shameless. She was a vixen who wanted to seduce people. Guocaixia teased and said to Wu Zhenju, "Second brother, your Xinyue girl is really interesting. Isn't she a bit too direct? Isn't she afraid of scaring heir apparent?" When Wu Zhenju saw that Guocaixia was mocking him, he glared at Liang Xinyue. "You lass, don't you watch your words? You're a young lady, yet you don't know shame." Liang Xinyue's ears turned red and she muttered, "Mother, I just happened to have a seat next to me, so I let heir apparent have a seat." Liang Xiaofei opened his mouth in pain and shouted, "Sister, you're obviously a love-struck fool. You don't know shame." Liang Xinyue could not help but glare at Liang Xiaofei. If they were not separated by a table, she would have already punched Liang Xiaofei. "What are you talking about? Do you believe that I will tear your mouth apart if you keep talking nonsense?" Liang Xiaofei was so frightened by Liang Xinyue that he trembled and hurriedly complained to Wu Zhenju, "Mother, look at elder sister. She's bullying me like this. I'm just telling the truth. Why can't I tell the truth?" Wu Zhenju was very protective of his son. How could he allow his son to be bullied by his daughter? He reprimanded Liang Xinyue, "What kind of sister are you? You only know how to bully your younger brother. Xiao Fei's mouth is already like this, and you still want to continue beating him? Mother, I think you're biased. You only know how to protect him." Liang Xinyue stomped her feet. Liang Jianghu felt even more embarrassed and said sternly, "That's enough, that's enough. Are you done yet? If you keep arguing, don't eat anymore. Get out." Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju finally stopped talking. When the people in the room quieted down, Mu Lianfeng continued to ask Zhao Yuner, "Yuner, where should I sit?" Liang Xinyue's heart sank. The heir apparent was a man of noble status. Shouldn't he be allowed to sit wherever he wanted? Why did he still have to ask for Zhao Yuner's opinion? Zhao Yuner glanced at Liang Xinyue. She was not so stupid as to push her man to her side. Zhao Yuner thought for a moment, then said to Mu Lianfeng, "Mu Lianfeng, you can sit next to my little aunt." It was a good opportunity to separate Liang Shizi, so that Liang Shizi wouldn't dislike her little aunt. "Okay." Mu Lianfeng smiled gently and walked to Liang Jinyu's side. He sat down next to Liang Jinyu. Liang Xinyue and Liang Shizi were slightly stunned. Chapter 1736. As for Liang Xinzi, she was overwhelmed by the favor and felt that happiness had come too suddenly. The Shiziyi was actually sitting next to her. Liang Xinzi's heart was restless and restless. She felt as if her heart was about to burst out. The fragrant smell of Mu Lianfeng's body entered Liang Xinzi's nostrils. Liang Xinzi was intoxicated by this smell. Not only was the Shiziyi handsome, his body also smelled so good. If she could be with this kind of man, how good would it be? Although it was impossible now, at least she was sitting next to Mu Lianfeng and had the opportunity to interact with him. Liang Xinzi's heart felt as if it had been smeared with honey. The corners of her mouth could not help but raise into a smile. She was somewhat glad that she did not say anything earlier. Otherwise, if she and Liang Xinyue had switched seats, wouldn't she have lost this opportunity to interact with the Shiziyi? As expected, good people have good karma. This was a reward given to her by the heavens. Liang Xinyue saw Liang Xinzi's expression and angrily gritted her teeth. She secretly cursed Liang Xinzi's wishful thinking. She was so ugly. So what if she was sitting next to the Shiziyi? Could it be that the Shiziyi would take a fancy to an ugly woman like her? It was simply wishful thinking. Zhao Yuner did not have a good time eating this meal. There were too many annoying flies. They circled around in front of her, making her very annoyed. Mu Lianfeng saw Zhao Yuner's annoyance and curled the corners of his mouth. He faintly smiled. Seeing that Zhao Yuner did not have much food in her bowl, he attentively helped Zhao Yun, pick up some food. Yun, eat more. Mu Lianfeng gently said. His gentle and affectionate appearance was a stark contrast to when he was angry because of Daodu's beating. Liang Xinyue and Liang Xinzi looked at Zhao Yuner with envy. She was actually able to receive such treatment from Mu Lianfeng. Liang Xinyue tasted the delicious dishes on the table. Her eyes were like Mu Lianfeng's. As soon as she saw Mu Lianfeng's deep affection for Zhao Yuner, she looked away in jealousy. She really couldn't figure out why Mu Lianfeng, who had such a noble status and good conditions, would fancy Zhao Yuner. Although Zhao Yuner looks delicate and pretty, isn't she old? How could she compare to someone as young as her? Was it because Zhao Yuner had given birth to Mu Lianfeng's child? Zhao Yuner glanced at Liang Xinyue indifferently. She knew what this little B***tch was thinking. However, what Zhao Yuner couldn't figure out was why so many people didn't know their own limits. They didn't know what kind of person they were, yet they actually coveted her man? And you eat too? Zhao Yuner said. She picked up some meat and put it into Mu Lianfeng's bowl. Mu Lianfeng smiled and replied, okay. The affectionate interaction between the two of them made the girls at the table jealous. Zhao Yuner used this to declare her sovereignty. Her man was someone that others shouldn't covet. She and Mu Lianfeng's relationship was something that ordinary people shouldn't even think about interfering with. After lunch, the Liang family rested at Zhao Yuner's house, but they didn't have any intention of leaving. Zhao Yuner couldn't chase them away. After all, they were guests. If she chased them away, they would say that she was rude. She could only let the Liang family continue to be an eyesore in front of her. The first to leave was Liang Jinyu. She had to go back to work, so Zhao Yuner didn't stay for long. The sun is very hot. We have to wait for the sun to go down before we leave. Otherwise we will starve to death on the way. Liang Jinfen muttered to herself. Chapter 1737. The weather is getting hotter and hotter now. Sigh, the tough days are coming. It was better in the winter. After all, they just had to wear more clothes and cover themselves with more blankets. However, in the summer they had to wear more clothes. There were too few ways to lower their temperature and they couldn't find any. In the summer, especially during the summer, the weather was even hotter, especially during the summer. Basically, it was impossible to sleep well at night until it was summer. Sometimes they could only move their beds out or spread a mat on the ground and rely on the night breeze to sleep. However, there were many mosquitoes outside. After the mosquitoes bit them, they would be awakened by the itch. No matter what, they wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Unfortunately, summer was the busiest time for farming. Most of the work was done during the day. They were tired during the day and couldn't sleep well at night. It was very uncomfortable. When Liang Jinxiao heard their words, she could only smile and let them sit down to rest. They could leave when the sun went down a little. It was indeed inappropriate for her to chase them away now. Eldest sister, I think the mung bean soup is quite delicious. Why don't we ask Yun to cook some for us later? Drink some mung bean soup before you go. You won't be so tired on the way. Wu Zhenju and Liang Jinxiao pleaded. Although they had a good lunch with fish and meat, their appetite was affected in the summer. Wu Zhenju missed the mung bean soup even more. Liang Jinxiao's mouth twitched a little awkwardly. If she could do it herself and didn't need to trouble Zhao Yun, she could cook some for them. However, she had to let Zhao Yuner do it. Liang Jinxiao knew that Zhao Yuner was more annoyed by these relatives. How could she help to cook mung bean soup? It would be a good thing if she didn't chase these people out now. When Liang Jinfen heard about mung bean soup and sweets, her eyes lit up. What, there's mung bean soup? I didn't drink it. Can you make some for me? Drinking some mung bean soup now will definitely make me happy. Liang Jinxiao felt even more embarrassed. Before Liang Jinxiao could reply, Zhao Yuner came over and rolled her eyes at the two greedy women. Did I not treat you well at noon? Still thinking of drinking mung bean soup? Dream on. Wu Zhenju and Liang Jinfen looked a little embarrassed. Liang Jinfen said shamelessly, we are guests. What's wrong with asking for something to eat? Why are your words so unpleasant to hear? Zhao Yuner replied in annoyance, you don't like it? If you don't like it, you can scram. You. Liang Jinfen was furious. She was Zhao Yuner's elder. How could she talk to her like that? Now that he was asking her to scram, wouldn't she be tanned to death? Especially her daughter, Su Lady, who was fair and tender. If she went out in the sun, wouldn't she get tanned? In order to continue resting, Liang Jinfen could only swallow her anger. Mother, we're holding the banquet tomorrow. Let's take care of the dishes now so that we won't be too busy tomorrow. Zhao Yuner called out to Liang Jinxiao. Other than wanting Liang Jinxiao to work, she also wanted Liang Jinxiao to ignore these weird relatives. Without Liang Jinxiao in front of them, they naturally couldn't ask for anything. Liang Jinxiao responded, "Okay, mother will come right away." After talking to Zhao Yuner, Liang Jinxiao called out to the Liang family, "Mother, eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, second brother, second sister-in-law, please have a seat. I'll go out to work first." Chapter 1738. That's right, eldest sister. Don't worry about us. Liang Jinshun said with a smile. Okay. Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Yun left the house and went to the courtyard to clean up the vegetables they bought. The house had just been built and there were no big trees in the house. There was no place to shade in the courtyard. Zhao Wenhua built a simple shed so that it would not be too sunny. Zhao Yuner and Liang Jinxiao moved stools and sat down to get busy. Seeing the Liang family sitting in the house one by one like ancestors, Zhao Yuner could not help but sigh. These people clearly heard that her family needed help, but no one came out to help. What kind of damn relatives were they? Zhao Yun did not really expect them to do anything. She just felt uncomfortable in her heart. If their relatives saw that her family was so busy, they would more or less lend a hand, right? Liang Jinxiao saw Zhao Yuner's unhappy face and knew what Zhao Yuner was thinking. She sighed slightly. She also felt that her relatives were not very good. What could she do? They were all her relatives. She could not admit it, right? Yun, after we finish our work tomorrow we can rest for a while. Liang Jinxiao said with a smile. Yes. Zhao Yun nodded in response. After finishing the banquet she did not have much to do. She just had to arrange to build a pigsty and tidy up her barren hill. She would wait until the end of autumn to plant tea trees. It would not be easy to plant tea trees in summer. Yun, is there anything I can do? Mu Lianfeng walked in front of Zhao Yun and asked Zhao Yun. Liang Jinxiao hurriedly waved his hand. Lord Heir, you can rest. There's nothing we need your help with. Liang Jinxiao felt that with Mu Lianfeng's status, he should not be busy with such menial work. It did not match Mu Lianfeng's status. Mu Lianfeng smiled and said, It's okay, auntie. I'm just resting. How long will you and Yuner be busy? It will definitely be faster if you lend a hand. Liang Jinxiao frowned and hesitated for a moment. It seemed that he did not want to trouble Mu Lianfeng. Zhao Yuner commanded, Mu Lianfeng, my father went to work in the fields. There doesn't seem to be much water left in the water tank at home. Go to the river and bring some back. It was impossible to count on her two uncles. It would be strange if those two lazy fellows helped her family. Women's physical strength was not good enough to carry water back home, so Zhao Wenhua was the one who carried the water back home. It would probably use a lot of water to wash the vegetables today. When the banquet was held tomorrow, it would use even more water. It was necessary to fill the water tank with water now. Okay, Yuner, I'll go now. Mu Lianfeng rushed into the kitchen eagerly and carried 2 wooden buckets out. Chapter 1739. Zhao Yun said indifferently. Liang Jinxiao sighed and said, Although that's the case, he is still the heir of the crown prince. He is usually served by others. How can we let him work? If this spreads, people will say that we are disrespectful to the heir of the crown prince. Zhao Yuner's mouth twitched. She knew that the concept of hierarchy in this era was very deep. It was difficult for her to change Liang Jinxiao's mind. She could only say to Liang Jinxiao, Mother, he is the heir of the crown prince. In any case, he is also your son-in-law. Can't a mother-in-law order her son-in-law to do some work? Liang Jinxiao fell silent. From this point of view, it was indeed not a big deal. It was normal for a mother-in-law to order her son-in-law to do work. Little girl Yun, what you said makes sense. Anyway, it's nothing. If he is willing to do it, I won't order him around. Mother, don't you think so? Liang Jinxiao nodded. Yes, but you should order him around less. The heir of the crown prince also has work to do. If you can avoid troubling the heir of the crown prince, try not to trouble him. I know, mother. The mother and daughter chatted as they walked. However, someone deliberately ran up to Zhao Yun and criticized Zhao Yun. Cousin, how can you do this? Zhao Yun looked up and saw that it was Liang Xinyue. Zhao Yun was a little confused when she saw Liang Xinyue's angry expression. She asked indifferently, What did I do? Liang Xinyue's face darkened and she said angrily, It's not like you don't know the heir of the crown prince's status. How can you let the heir of the crown prince do manual work like carrying water? Aren't you afraid of exhausting the heir of the crown prince? Who do you think you are? Zhao Yun was even more confused. It seemed that her cousin was worried about Mu Lianfeng doing manual work. But shouldn't Mu Lianfeng be the one feeling sorry for him? Since when was it another woman's turn to feel heartache? Wasn't her cousin worrying too much? To put it bluntly, he was a busybody. Zhao Yuner sneered and replied disdainfully, "My man will do whatever I tell him to do. Since when is it someone else's turn to control him?" Liang Xinyue's face instantly darkened. She angrily said to Zhao Yuner, "You, shameless." Zhao Yuner's eyes flashed with coldness and she questioned coldly, "Cousin, you can eat whatever you want but you can't say whatever you want. Tell me clearly, how am I shameless? Shouldn't you be the shameless one? The moment you came to my house you stared at my man. Now that you're ordering my man to do some work, you come running over with a distressed expression. What are you trying to do?" Liang Xinyue was so ashamed by Zhao Yuner that she couldn't show her face. She really couldn't stand Zhao Yuner ordering Mu Lianfeng around, so she came running over to complain. Of course she was more jealous. Chapter 1740. If Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng were to get married, the wedding would definitely be held in a grand manner. As Zhao Yuner's relatives, how could they not attend? When Zhao Ping'er got married to that poor man, her wedding was still held in a grand manner. Moreover, if she were to marry the heir of the crown prince, the wedding would be held in public. Furthermore, the heir of the crown prince's status was that of a prestigious aristocrat. In ancient times, people were particular about matching in social status. It would be strange if the heir of the crown prince's household would agree to it when Zhao Yuner was just a country bumpkin. Zhao Yuner would definitely not marry Mu Lianfeng. In that case, how could Mu Lianfeng be considered as Zhao Yuner's man? Zhao Yuner's eyes narrowed into a long and narrow arc. It could be seen that her cousin was very jealous and unhappy with her. However, she was still too inexperienced to play tricks in front of her. "Cousin, are you here to show off your intelligence in front of me? I've already given birth to a child with the heir of the crown prince. If he's not my man, then is he your man?" Liang Xinyue's face flushed red as she tried to explain to Zhao Yuner, "So what if you gave birth to a child? It's just a shameful affair. Who knows, the heir of the crown prince's household might not acknowledge it. You can only accept it if you hold a wedding. Otherwise, you'll just be the heir of the crown prince's mistress outside. You can't even be considered as a concubine." After Liang Xinyue finished speaking, Zhao Yuner's eyes were filled with coldness. As expected, this little whore liked to stir up trouble. She was still too gentle and did not fear her at all. Although Liang Xinyue's words were not without reason, and if they did not hold a wedding she would not have a status. In the eyes of outsiders she would be a shameful mistress outside. However, this was a matter between her and Mu Lianfeng. Who was it for others to judge? Zhao Yuner walked up to Liang Xinyue and slapped her in the face. The sound was so loud that Liang Xinyue was stunned. She didn't expect that Zhao Yuner would hit her. Then a red handprint appeared on Liang Xinyue's face, and she felt a burning pain on her face. You hit me." Liang Xinyue's voice trembled as she glared at Zhao Yuner with red eyes. Ever since she was young she had never been beaten. At most, her parents would scold her a little when they were angry, but Zhao Yuner directly hit her. "So what if I hit you? Your parents don't know how to educate you, so I'll help teach you a lesson." Zhao Yuner snorted coldly, full of aura. The aura emanating from his body intimidated Liang Xinyue so much that she didn't dare to say anything. When they heard the noise outside, the Liang family ran out to see what was going on. Chapter 1741. Mother, I'm not spouting nonsense. It's true that Master Shitzi didn't marry her in the first place. They didn't even hold the wedding. She said that Master Shitzi is her man. Liang Xinyue hid behind Wu Zhenju and grumbled pitifully. When Wu Zhenju heard Liang Xinyue's words, he frowned and tried to reason with Zhao Yuner. "Yuner lass, my Yuer really didn't spout nonsense. You and Master Shitzi are holding a wedding. This isn't legitimate. Why aren't you telling others?" Zhao Yuner frowned and cursed in her heart. These weirdos were going to make a fuss in front of her again. When would she be able to have peace and quiet around her? When Liang Jinfen heard Liang Xinyue and Wu Zhenju's words, she immediately stepped in to help. She had always liked to stir up trouble. Furthermore, she was unhappy with Zhao Yuner. Naturally, she wanted to blow up this matter. "That's right, Yuner lass. Yuer lass only said a few words of truth. Look at you still beat her up. It's indeed your fault for beating her up like this. In my opinion, you should quickly apologize to Yuer lass and compensate Yuer with something so that Yuer can nourish her body." When Liang Jinfen finished speaking, there was a hint of schadenfreude in her eyes. She stole a few glances at Zhao Yuner. Wu Zhenju looked at Liang Jinfen gratefully. Second younger sister is still the best. She spoke the truth on behalf of us. Liang Jinfen smiled and waved her hand. I'm just trying to be fair. I'm looking at it from the perspective of others. Zhao Yuner only felt that it was laughable. How was this fair? She still wanted her to apologize to Liang Xinyue? What a fool's dream. Did he really think that she was a soft bun that he could bully as he pleased? The crown prince hasn't even said anything yet, and you're already casually discussing it. Don't tell me you don't deserve to be beaten? So what if they didn't have a wedding now? Who says I won't do it in the future? Who are you to interrupt? Zhao Yuner said coldly. Yuner girl, you're being unreasonable. Liang Jinfen grumbled, then gave Liang Jinxiao a look. Big sister, why don't you educate your Yuner? What's wrong with a few words between relatives? Even if there's something wrong, there's no need to treat you that way, right? Liang Jinxiao felt that Liang Xinyue had slapped Liang Xinyue a little too hard, but Liang Xinyue had asked for it. Not only was Yuner angry, but she was also angry. What did he mean by not having a proper marriage? What did he mean by being a mistress? What did he mean by being inferior to a concubine? Her Yuner was together with the crown prince, and the crown prince had already decided that it was proper. He was speaking as if her daughter was really shameful. Hence, Liang Jinxiao replied, Second sister, if Xinyue didn't talk about Yuner, would Yuner have given that slap properly? How can we casually discuss the crown prince's matters? It's a good thing that the crown prince didn't hear it. If he heard it, this slap probably wouldn't be able to settle it. I'm afraid that Xinyue wouldn't be able to take it. Zhao Yuner saw that Liang Jinxiao finally didn't continue to be sarcastic this time, and she was more or less comforted. How good would it be if her mother continued to be like this in the future? When there were many people, one couldn't be cowardly. Only by having a strong aura would one not be bullied by others. Liang Jinxiao's words made Wu Zhenju and Liang Xinyue a little scared. At the mention of Mu Lianfeng, they couldn't help but feel afraid. Zhao Yuner shook her head. If people in this era did not care about status, she did not care whether she and Mu Lianfeng had a wedding or not. She did not care before, but now she felt that she had to marry Mu Lianfeng as soon as possible for Daodu's future legitimacy. She did not know when the emperor's imperial edict would arrive. It was reasonable to say that the efficiency should not be so low. Someone should have sent it over long ago. After a while, Mu Lianfeng came back with 2 buckets of water. Zhao Yuner told Mu Lianfeng to rest first before going. Mu Lianfeng shook his head and said, No need, Yuner, I'm not tired. Wasn't it just 2 buckets of water? He was a man, so what was this little thing in front of him? Chapter 1743. Not long after Mu Lianfeng left, Zhao Yuner's other cousin Liang Xinzi arrived in front of Zhao Yuner and said to Zhao Yuner, Cousin Yuner, is there any work you need me to do? I happen to be free, so why don't you come and help? Zhao Yuner sized up Liang Xinzi. She didn't know if this cousin of hers really wanted to come and help, or if she was just pretending. No need, cousin. You sit and rest. Zhao Yuner thought about it but still refused. Cousin, there are so many vegetables in your house. The 2 of you must have been busy for a long time. Let me help too. This time, Liang Xinzi didn't ask for Zhao Yuner's opinion. She squatted down and began to tidy up the vegetables on the ground. Zhao Yuner didn't stop her when she saw this, and allowed Liang Xinzi to help. She could only hope that she didn't have any bad intentions. Otherwise she might end up worse than Liang Xinyue. After working for more than half an hour, Mu Lianfeng finally filled the water tank to the brim. Yuner girl, go and scoop out another basin of water. Liang Jinxiao called out. Zhao Yuner responded. Just as she was about to get up, Liang Xinyue said, Big aunt, let me do it. Saying this, Liang Xinzi eagerly picked up the wooden basin on the ground and rushed into Zhao Yuner's kitchen. Yuner, this child is not bad. She's quite diligent and efficient. Liang Jinxiao's eyes were filled with admiration for Liang Xinzi. Zhao Yuner had also observed Liang Xinzi's appearance when she worked. She was indeed not bad. It could be seen that she had helped out a lot at home. Compared to Liang Xinyue, Liang Xinzi was clearly much better. Liang Xinzi was also more low-key and honest than Liang Xinyue. After comparing the 2, Zhao Yuner had a pretty good impression of Liang Xinzi. She answered Liang Jinxiao, Yes, mother? Liang Xinzi had not been in the kitchen for long. When she came out with a basin of water, she accidentally tripped over a rock in front of her and fell heavily to the ground. She could not help but cry out, Ah! Everyone looked at Liang Xinzi thinking that something had happened. Just as he saw Liang Xinzi fall to the ground, he hurried out. Just as Zhao Yuner was about to help Liang Xinzi up, Mu Lianfeng, who was at the side, helped Liang Shizi up and asked in a cold voice, "Are you okay?" Liang Shizi looked up and met Mu Lianfeng's deep eyes. Her heart could not help but tremble. She immediately became nervous. It was as if she could not feel the pain in her body. I think I sprained my leg," Liang Shizi stammered as she replied. Mu Lianfeng's eyes narrowed and landed on Liang Shizi's leg. He saw that Liang Shizi's leg was indeed not lightly injured. There were some purple bruises on it. Liang Xinyue rushed in front of Liang Shizi and Mu Lianfeng. When she saw the scene in front of her, her heart was filled with jealousy. Master Shizi was actually holding Liang Shizi's arm and had such intimate contact with Liang Shizi. This was too much. "Cousin, how can you seduce people like this? Pretending to fall and asking Master Shizi to help you up?" After Liang Xinyue finished speaking to Liang Shizi, she turned to Zhao Yuner and complained to Zhao Yuner. She fanned the flames. "Cousin Yuner, look, Cousin Zira is seducing Master Shizi right in front of you. She even pretended to fall. She definitely wants to steal Master Shizi from you." After old Madame Liang finished reprimanding, Guocaixia could not help but defend her daughter. "Mother, you can't say things like that. Who did my Zira offend? It was that girl who insisted on coming over to make a fuss. Nothing happened in the first place. Why are you framing my Zira?" Liang Xinyue pursed her lips and retorted, "I'm telling the truth. Cousin had bad intentions and wanted to seduce Shizi Yi. She didn't have such intentions. Why would I come over and say that to her?" Chapter 1745. As she spoke, Guocaixia pointed at Liang Shizi's leg, which was swollen like a steamed bun. Looking at the injury, it was indeed quite serious. If it was an ordinary person who faked it, they definitely wouldn't fall to this extent, right? Zhao Yun also believed that this was a simple accident. If Liang Shizi had done it on purpose, how could she have been so sure that Mu Lianfeng would come over to help her when she fell? Liang Jinfen said from the side, "Sister-in-law is right. Who would be so cruel to themselves? It must be Zir who was careless." Liang Xinyue couldn't refute that. She was still jealous of Liang Shizi. Guocaixia continued to snort coldly and lectured Wu Zhenju, "I say, second sister-in-law, when you go back, you should discipline your Yuer properly. She's still young but she already knows how to frame people. If word of this gets out, wouldn't it be bad for our Zir's reputation?" Old Madame Liang had a serious expression as she instructed Wu Zhenju, "Your sister-in-law is right. You didn't know the rules this time. If cousins talk like this, people will laugh at our Liang family's daughters. Not only will it be bad for Zir, but it'll also be bad for you." When the mother-in-law spoke, the daughter-in-law could only listen. Wu Zhenju wanted to say something, but he didn't dare to refute old Madame Liang. "Mother, I'll remember." Wu Zhenju responded hypocritically, then said to Liang Xinyue, "You child, did you hear that? Don't speak nonsense in the future." Liang Xinyue had a wronged expression, but she could only agree. The ruckus that had been going on immediately stopped. Zhao Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. If this weirdo continued to cause trouble in front of her every day, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to take it. Mu Lianfeng had already let go of Liang Shizi and stood to the side. If he had known in advance that helping Liang Shizi would cause such a huge commotion, he definitely wouldn't have helped. "Zir, the injury on your foot is quite serious. You have to reduce the swelling as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll have to lie in bed for a long time and won't be able to walk." Liang Jinxiao stepped forward and said with concern. Usually when they sprained their feet while working, the situation was very serious. They had to be treated properly and rubbed. Otherwise, their feet would be swollen and they would not be able to walk. Moreover, it would be very painful. It was obvious that Liang Shizi's foot was seriously injured. Not reducing the swelling was not a solution. Guocaixia chimed in, "Zir, your aunt is right. Mother will help you sit down and give you a massage." "Yes, mother." Liang Shizi nodded. When Guocaixia helped her walk, her foot hurt badly every time she moved. It hurt so much that cold sweat broke out on her forehead after just a few steps. Liang Jinxiao went to the kitchen, took out a bowl, poured some sesame oil and brought it over to Guocaixia. Country people would apply some sesame oil on their feet to reduce the swelling after spraining their feet. Then they would massage the feet. If they massaged the feet more, the swelling would dissipate a lot. However, it would hurt a little when they massaged it. They would have to massage it a few more times before the swelling would completely disappear. Sesame oil was a precious thing in the countryside. Liang Jinxiao only poured a few drops. Most country people would apply some on their hands to massage it so that it would be smoother. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to move it. Liang Shizi sat down while Guxiaxia squatted on the ground to help massage her feet. Liang Shizi screamed in pain. "Mother, it hurts. Please be gentler." Chapter 1746. Guxiaxia was experienced and knew that the strength of the massage could not be too light. If it was too light, there would be no effect. It would be better not to massage. Liang Xinzi was in so much pain that she broke out in a cold sweat. She could not help but continue to wail, sounding very miserable. Zhao Yun'er's attention gradually shifted away from Liang Xinzi. Thinking about this woman, she was quite pitiful. She actually fell and became like this. After Liang Jinxiao came out of the house, he continued to work beside Zhao Yun'er. He could not help but sigh. If I had known that Zir was injured like this, I would not have asked her to help. Zhao Yun'er pursed her lips and chuckled. "Mother, how can there be so many ifs? If only I had known earlier." Sigh. Liang Jinxiao felt a little sorry for Liang Xinzi. Looking at Liang Xinzi's condition, even if she rubbed her feet, she would probably not be able to move around casually for a few days. Mu Lianfeng continued to come forward to help. The original dishes were almost all done, leaving only a few meat dishes. The prepared few big fish had to be killed first. Originally, Zhao Yun'er wanted to kill the fish herself. Mu Lianfeng took the knife from Zhao Yun'er and smiled at Zhao Yun'er. "Yun'er, let me do this kind of bloody thing. It's not good for a girl like you to do this kind of work." Seeing that her man was feeling sorry for her, Zhao Yun'er smiled and did not stop Mu Lianfeng. Then you do it." Mu Lianfeng took the knife and went to the side to dissect the fish. Some of the things in the fish's stomach were thrown to the side. However, it was summer and could easily spoil. He had to clean it up later. Otherwise, it would easily stink and attract flies. Xiao He wandered around at the side for a while. Smelling the fishy smell on the ground, he wagged his tail and left. He was not very interested in this kind of raw food. After a while, a furry dog came out of nowhere, dragging a big belly. First, he glanced at Mu Lianfeng warily, and then he cautiously did not dare to approach him. After observing Mu Lianfeng for a while, he felt that Mu Lianfeng wasn't dangerous. Only then did he slowly move closer. He bit into the fish belly on the ground and dragged it aside to eat. This kind of fishy smell was too attractive for cats. Perhaps it was because Mao was too hungry. All the things on the ground were eaten clean. It just so happened that Zhao Yun'er's house didn't have to be cleaned up. "Mom, whose cat is this?" Zhao Yun'er asked casually. She was very fond of small animals. Liang Jinxiao glanced at them and replied, "They should be from Zhao Ping's family." Zhao Ping and old Zhao's family were only related by ancestry. When it came to their generation, the relationship had faded a lot. Zhao Yun'er remembered such a person. He was one of the few bachelors in the village. His family was too poor and he couldn't find a wife. "It's his. This cat's nose is really sensitive. It knew to find our house from such a long distance away." Zhao Yun'er joked. Liang Jinxiao chuckled and said, "How is it sensitive? Your Uncle Zhao's family is poor. There's nothing for people to eat. How can there be food for the cat? This cat runs around the village during the day. If there's food that is thrown away, it will come over to eat. Otherwise it would have starved to death." Zhao Yun'er heard and nodded. There was a touch of sympathy in her eyes when she looked at the cat. It didn't eat usually. No wonder it ate so much now. Chapter 1747. Mother, look. Is Mao pregnant? His belly is so big. Zhao Yun'er stared at the cat and asked. Liang Jinxiao took another look. With such a big belly, it must be pregnant, so she replied, "Yes, it looks like it will give birth in a few days." "So soon?" "Yes, cats don't take a few days to give birth like us. It looks like it has been pregnant for a while." After hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Yun'er's eyes turned and she asked Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, why don't we wait for Uncle Zhao's cat to give birth and get one back to raise?" Zhao Yun'er felt that old cat didn't have anything to eat every day and had to come out to look for food. If it gave birth to a kitten, how could the kitten survive? Thinking that the pink and tender Mao might starve to death, Zhao Yun'er felt that it was too cruel. Liang Jinxiao was silent for a moment, then nodded and said, "It's good to catch one and raise it back. These days there are too many mice in the house. If there is a cat or mouse at home, it won't be so noisy. We have a lot of leftovers every day, so it's easy to take out a little to raise it." "Yes. As long as we raise it, we will definitely be able to raise it." "Okay, then I'll go and talk to your Uncle Zhao later. After it gives birth, he will leave one for us." Zhao Yun'er smiled and agreed. She would have another cute little animal at home later. Zhao Yuner liked little Hei's smart look very much. If she could raise another kitten, it would probably be another smart little thing. Just as she thought of little Hei, she heard little Hei barking wildly. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof. Little Hei stretched its neck and barked unusually fiercely. Little Hei was not usually so fierce. Little Hei's reaction must be because some annoying person had come. Zhao Yuner looked in the direction where Little Black was screaming. Sure enough, there were really some annoying people coming over. It was none other than Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan. The two of them stood at the entrance of the courtyard. Because of Little Hei's fierce roar and its fangs, Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan didn't dare to take a step forward. The memory of Zhao Ping'er being bitten by Little Black was still fresh in her mind. How would she dare to provoke Little Black again? However, staying at the door was not a solution. Zhao Ping'er shouted at Liang Jinxiao, who was in the courtyard, "Mother, come here quickly. Chase this damn dog away." When Liang Jinxiao saw Zhao Ping'er, she frowned. She didn't know why Zhao Ping'er was here again. Liang Jinxiao was still very disgusted by Zhao Ping'er from the previous incident. Now that she saw Zhao Ping'er, she didn't feel happy. Liang Jinxiao stood up in disdain and walked towards Zhao Ping'er. She asked plainly, "Why are you here again?" Zhao Ping'er smiled as if she was trying to please her. "Mother, didn't we build a house to hold a banquet? I heard from Little Feng that I'm here with Big Brother Yuan to give some money as a gift." Liang Jinxiao glanced at Zhao Ping'er plainly and said unhappily, "No need. You can take it back yourself. We don't lack this bit of money." Seeing Liang Jinxiao's attitude, Zhao Ping'er's heart skipped a beat. Her mother's attitude seemed to be really ignoring her. What should she do? Chapter 1748. She could not continue like this. She would not be able to earn much money, and her life at her in-laws' house would not be easy either. Mu Chunfang had been grumbling for the past few days. If not for the fact that she was pregnant with a family Qin's child, Mu Chunfang's attitude would have been even worse. Now, she just hoped that she could quickly persuade Zhao Yuner so that she could continue with her breakfast stall. Upon hearing Liang Jinxiao's words, Qin Yuan pooled some money and persuaded her very politely, "Mother, don't be angry at Ping'er. We are still a family after all." Zhao Ping'er followed Qin Yuan and quickly agreed, "That's right, that's right." Her big brother Yuan was still the smart one and spoke nicely. Qin Yuan continued, "Ping'er and I are also here for our family's joyous occasion. It's worth being happy about. We came all the way here. Mother, you can't be calculative with us, right?" Qin Yuan played the emotional card. When Liang Jinxiao heard this, she also felt that she could not be so calculative with Zhao Ping'er. Today, the two of them were here for her family's joyous occasion. Furthermore, they were in front of Qin Yuan, so she could not be too rude. Hence, Liang Jinxiao said, "All right then. You can take the money and go back. Come over for a drink tomorrow." This was already Liang Jinxiao's biggest concession. According to her previous thoughts, she would not even let Zhao Ping'er eat at the banquet. Zhao Ping'er was slightly stunned. She was not used to Liang Jinxiao's cold and heartless attitude. Liang Jinxiao pursed her lips and muttered, "Mother, how can you be like this? Big brother Yuan and I ran all the way here. Could it be that you don't even let us rest our feet and drink a cup of water?" Qin Yuan said with a fawning expression, "Yes, Mom, we've walked such a long way. We're tired and thirsty. Ping'er is pregnant. Why don't we go in and have a rest? While we're at it, I'll also take a look at your house. It looks so grand from the outside." Seeing the two sluts coming over, Zhao Yuner's mood suddenly became bad. Especially Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Yuner stepped forward and snapped back, "Why are you so tired? Didn't you come here on a donkey cart? You make it sound like you've really walked that far." Seeing that Zhao Yuner was so direct, Qin Yuan felt a little embarrassed. He tugged at the corner of his mouth and smiled. "Yuner, although we didn't walk, we're really a little thirsty from the heat of the sun." Zhao Yuner sneered. "You're all driving a donkey cart? Why don't you know to bring a pot of water along? I think you're planning to come in and have a seat even before coming to my house, right?" Zhao Yuner's attitude made Zhao Ping'er very angry. She actually dared to speak to her big brother Yuan like this. "Zhao Yuner, what is mother talking about? Why did you come over and interrupt?" Zhao Ping'er snapped. "Why can't I interrupt?" "Zhao Ping'er, could it be that you've forgotten that I'm the one who paid for this house to be built?" Zhao Ping'er's anger immediately subsided. Indeed, this house was built by Zhao Yuner. Everything was decided by Zhao Yuner. If she didn't let them in, even Liang Jinxiao would have nothing to say. Qin Yuan glared at Zhao Ping'er. This woman spoke without thinking. Could it be that she forgot the purpose of coming over today? What good was there in angering Zhao Yuner? If Zhao Yuner didn't agree, the matter of the stall would probably be over when they returned. Chapter 1749. Zhao Yuner narrowed her eyes slightly, and the corner of her mouth held a faintly discernible smile. She didn't expect Xuanhuan to be so tactful now. He was different from when she first met him. After hearing Xuanhuan's words, Zhao Yuner replied indifferently, "Won't we be able to see it during the dinner tomorrow? Why do we have to go in now?" "Little sister Yuner, we're a family. How can we be so distant?" Xuanhuan sighed as if it was a pity. "You're thinking too much. A married daughter is like spilled water. Big sister Pinger is now part of your family Qin, not our Zhao family. But blood relations can't be erased. Little sister Yuner, if Pinger doesn't do well, please bear with her. Her character can't be changed in a short period of time. I'll tell her to be more careful later," Zhao Yuner replied unhappily. "Why do you want me to bear with it? You don't have to say anything. I'm not that magnanimous. It's not like she doesn't know what Zhao Pinger has done." Seeing Zhao Yuner's cold face, Xuanhuan knew that it was useless for him to say anything more. If there was someone to blame, it was that idiot Zhao Pinger's fault. How could she not know who she could offend and who she couldn't? Now, it seemed that it would be extremely difficult to persuade Zhao Yuner to continue working with her. "Yuaner, take Pinger back with you. Come over tomorrow. There's nothing to see in my house." Liang Jinxiao waved at Xuanhuan. When she saw Zhao Pinger, she frowned in disgust and looked very impatient. She had given birth to such an unfilial and heartless daughter. She had also served her for more than 20 years. She didn't want to continue serving her foolishly. "Mother?" Zhao Pinger shouted at Liang Jinxiao unwillingly. Her mother used to dote on her so much. Why did she change so suddenly? "Don't you understand human language? If you don't want to leave, then don't blame me for using any means," Zhao Yuner warned coldly. "Zhao Yuner, you don't go too far." Zhao Pinger stomped her feet angrily. "If I had gone too far, you would have lost your life by now." The coldness in Zhao Yuner's eyes deepened. Seeing that Xuanhuan and Zhao Pinger had no intention of leaving, Zhao Yuner felt that it was useless to be long-winded with these people. It was better to let Little He handle it. Zhao Yuner let Xiao He call out, "Xiao He, bite for me." Little He was already baring his fangs, but because Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Yuner were around, he endured it. Now that he received Zhao Yuner's orders, he immediately rushed towards Zhao Pinger and Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan and Zhao Pinger were both so frightened that their faces turned pale. If they were bitten by Little He, wouldn't they lose a piece of flesh? Quickly leave, Xuanhuan urged Zhao Pinger. However, Little He's speed was much faster than the two of them. When Xuanhuan saw the situation, how could he still care about Zhao Pinger? He was so frightened that he quickly broke into a run, scurrying faster than a rabbit. Zhao Pinger was instantly dumbfounded. She did not expect Xuanhuan to abandon her like this. What happened to sharing weal and woe together? Why was it like this? "Big brother Yuan, don't run. Wait for me. Big brother Yuan." However, Xuanhuan did not even turn his head. If he waited for Zhao Pinger, then he would be a fool. If he was chased by Little He, wouldn't he be the unlucky one? He was not willing to hurt himself for a stupid woman. Very quickly, Little He caught up to Zhao Pinger and bit towards Zhao Pinger's buttocks. However, he did not bite directly. Instead, he bit off the cloth on Zhao Pinger's pants. Chapter 1750. Big brother Yuan, save me. Save me. Zhao Pinger screamed at the top of her lungs. Xuanhuan did not even turn his head. He did not even look at Zhao Pinger. Because he did not care about Zhao Pinger at all, whether Zhao Pinger lived or died had nothing to do with him. The most important thing now was not to be bitten by Little Black. Zhao Pinger felt a wave of despair in her heart. How could her big brother Yuan be like this? Even if he did not care that she was fine, he could not possibly watch her get chased by dogs and hurt the child in her womb, right? When Zhao Pinger and Xuanhuan ran far away in fright and did not see their footprints at all, Little Black then slowly ran back. Biting people was not the goal. The most important thing was to scare people and chase them away. Clearly, Little Black had seen through Zhao Yuner's thoughts and did this. Seeing that the two disgusting flies were no longer jumping around in front of her, Zhao Yuner's mood instantly became much better. Little Black moved closer to Zhao Yuner as if it was asking for praise. It rubbed its head against Zhao Yuner's thigh and wagged its tail involuntarily. Zhao Yuner bent down and patted Little Black's head. The stinky Little Black praised, "Well done. I'll give you more meat to eat tonight." When Little Black heard that, its tail wagged even more happily. Liang Jinxiao's expression dimmed, and he seemed somewhat unhappy. Zhao Yun'er knew that Liang Jinxiao was because of Zhao Ping'er. However, her mother's actions this time made Zhao Yun'er very gratified. At least she did not foolishly fall into Zhao Ping'er's trap like in the past. If it was still like in the past, she would probably continue to be angry with Liang Jinxiao for a few days. Sigh. Liang Jinxiao sighed slightly and did not continue saying anything. Since Zhao Ping'er and Xuanhuan had already left, there was nothing to do. The two of them returned to the courtyard and busied themselves. When Zhao Ping'er and Xuanhuan saw that little He didn't chase after them, they stopped running. Both of them were so tired that they couldn't speak. After resting for a while, he finally managed to catch his breath. Zhao Ping'er could not help grumbling, "Big brother Yuan, how can you be like this? Why didn't you pull me up? I was almost bitten in the butt by that damn dog Little Black." As Zhao Ping'er spoke, she lifted her buttocks, revealing a piece of her pants that had been bitten off by Little He. Xuanhuan glanced at her. Indeed, if she had been a little bit slower, Zhao Ping'er's butt would have been bitten off. Originally, the injury on Zhao Ping'er's butt had just healed. If she were to get a new injury now, she would probably have to lie in bed and rest for a while again. Xuanhuan said lightly, "Isn't it all because of you? If it weren't for what you did, would you have offended Zhao Yun'er? You wouldn't have had to make a trip here today, right? Let's not talk about how tired you were. You almost caused me to be bitten by a dog." Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips, feeling wronged. Her big brother Yuan clearly didn't care about her, but now he was talking about her like this. It was really too disappointing. "I didn't know that Zhao Yun'er had become like this now. She didn't even let me through the door and even let the dog bite me." Zhao Ping'er muttered. Thinking about Little He's ferocious look, Zhao Ping'er still trembled in fear when she recalled it. If it weren't for Little He, she wouldn't be afraid of Zhao Yun'er. Then what do you think we should do now? Your mother is ignoring you. It's probably impossible to get her to help persuade Zhao Yun'er, Xuanhuan said unhappily. Chapter 1751. Xuanhuan rolled his eyes at Zhao Ping'er. "What's the point of saying such things now? The one begging now is Zhao Yun'er, not your mother." Zhao Ping'er bit her lower lip. "Big brother Yuan, you've seen it for yourself. How can I beg her like that? She definitely won't agree." "Then what do you think we should do? Do we still want to continue the business of our breakfast stall?" Xuanhuan's tone was a little displeased as he questioned Zhao Ping'er. "Of course we have to. Otherwise, how are we going to earn money? Then hurry up and continue thinking of ways to make Zhao Yun'er change her mind." Zhao Ping'er's eyes turned. It seemed to be a little difficult to make Zhao Yun'er change her mind. Now that her mother could not seek help, who should she seek help from? There were not many people who were on good terms with Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Ping'er's expression was a little desolate and unwilling. She was more afraid that she would not be able to earn much money and that her status in the family chain would be too low in the future. When Xuanhuan saw that Zhao Ping'er was not speaking, he started nagging again. "I'm so tired. I rushed over for such a long distance. The sun is so hot that I'm oozing oil. In the end, I can't even drink a sip of water. I knew that I shouldn't have believed the words of a slut like you." Xuanhuan used his sleeve to fan himself and continued to complain, pushing all the blame onto Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips. She was also unwilling to encounter such a situation. It was useless to blame her now. "Big brother Yuan, aren't I thirsty too?" Xuanhuan glared at Zhao Ping'er and said, "Didn't you say that you could stay at your mother's house this time? You also said that you could eat delicious fish and meat at night and stay in a big house for 2 nights. Now you see you can't even enter the yard." When the two of them came to Zhao Yun'er's house, they had indeed planned to stay for the night. They could discuss with Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Yun'er about continuing their cooperation. Plus, they could have dinner the next day so they didn't have to make another trip. In the end, the reality was far from what he had expected. This made Xuanhuan even angrier and more disappointed. Zhao Ping'er lowered her head, feeling embarrassed by Xuanhuan's words. If her maiden family didn't like her, she would be even more disliked by her husband's family. Because her in-laws knew that she didn't have the support of her maiden family, it didn't matter if they bullied her. "Big brother Yuan?" Zhao Ping'er looked at Xuanhuan pitifully. When Xuanhuan saw Zhao Ping'er's aggrieved look, it made it seem like he was bullying her. He could only let it go. All right. I won't talk about you anymore. Let's go back." Xuanhuan said unhappily. However, Zhao Ping'er asked with concern, "Big brother Yuan, didn't you say that you were thirsty? Why don't we go to Xiaofeng's house to sit down and rest for a while? Let Xiaofeng give us some water to drink?" Xuanhuan thought about it and felt that it was fine too. The sun was shining brightly now. If they went back now, they would be drenched in sweat again. Why don't they go to Ma Xiaofeng's house to rest for a while, drink some water and wait for the sun to cool down before they leave? It would definitely be more comfortable then. Alright then. Let's go to Xiaofeng's house to ask for some water to drink first. Okay. Zhao Ping replied with a smile. Then she pulled her little donkey and let Xuanhuan sit on it. She pulled the rope that tied the donkey and pulled the donkey forward. If it weren't for this donkey's occasional tossing and turning, the two of them wouldn't be so tired. On the way to Ma Xiaofeng's house, they passed by old Zhao's house. Chapter 1752. However, when he passed by old Zhao's courtyard, Xuanhuan subconsciously glanced into the courtyard. With this glance, he happened to see Zhao Xinhui, who was sitting under the shade of a tree in old Zhao's courtyard. Xuanhuan thought that he was seeing things. Could it be that he missed Zhao Xinhui so much that he was hallucinating? Xuanhuan hurriedly rubbed his eyes and looked again. The person sitting under the shade of the tree was indeed Zhao Xinhui. Originally, Xuanhuan was not very energetic after making a trip to Shuilan village. Now that he saw Zhao Xinhui, he suddenly became energetic. He even involuntarily called out, "Auntie." Hearing Xuanhuan's voice, Zhao Ping'er was stunned. She did not know why Xuanhuan would call her auntie out of nowhere. Zhao Ping'er's gaze landed on Xuanhuan and realized that Xuanhuan was staring at old Zhao's courtyard. Zhao Ping'er then followed Xuanhuan's gaze and actually saw Zhao Xinhui. It really was her auntie. Zhao Ping'er's expression instantly turned ugly. Why did her auntie come back in one piece? Didn't she marry into a rich family in Yang City? Shouldn't she be enjoying her life in a rich family now? Why did she come back to her maternal home? What was so good about this poor ravine? Big brother Yuan. Zhao Ping'er called out to Xuanhuan. However, Xuanhuan acted as if he did not hear her and did not respond to Zhao Ping'er at all. It was as if his soul was hooked by Zhao Xinhui as he stared fixedly at Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Ping'er couldn't help but feel jealous in her heart. Xuanhuan was her man, her husband. How could he stare at other women? It had been so long and Xuanhuan still could not let go of her auntie. Big brother Yuan? Zhao Ping'er could not help but call out again. Xuanhuan finally came back to his senses. He blinked and said to Zhao Ping'er, look. Is that your aunt sitting in the courtyard? Am I seeing things? Zhao Ping'er bit her lower lip and replied pitifully, Big brother Yuan, that's my aunt. But so what if it's her? She's already married to a rich family. Big brother Yuan, you've also married me. It's impossible between you and her, so don't think about my aunt anymore. After saying that, Zhao Ping'er felt that he was too direct. He didn't know whether Xuanhuan would be mad at him, so he looked at Xuanhuan carefully. How could Xuanhuan not know this? It was just that he didn't want to hear it or admit it. If you like someone, how can you let go just like that? Especially now when he looked at Zhao Ping'er, he felt that this woman was very stupid. That's my business. It's none of your business. Xuanhuan replied snappily. Zhao Ping'er couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Xuanhuan was her man. How could she not care? However, when she saw Xuanhuan's angry look, Zhao Ping'er did not dare to continue speaking. She was afraid that Xuanhuan would ignore her in the future. Stop for a moment. Xuanhuan called out to Zhao Ping'er. What's wrong, big brother Yuan? I want to come down. Big brother Yuan, why did you come down? I'm going to look for my aunt. Xuanhuan replied shamelessly. Zhao Ping'er's jealousy grew stronger, but she didn't dare to say another word. Xuanhuan got down from the donkey cart and skipped towards old Zhao's courtyard. He even shouted, Auntie, auntie? He shouted very passionately as if Zhao Xinhui was his biological auntie. Zhao Ping'er followed Xuanhuan unwillingly and entered old Zhao's courtyard. Chapter 1753. Zhao Xinhui spat out the shell of the sunflower seed in her mouth and smiled. She couldn't possibly ignore someone who was greeting her, could she? Oh, why are you here? Zhao Xinhui asked with a smile. Xuanhuan felt his heart flutter when he saw the smile on Zhao Xinhui's face. A sense of joy welled up in his heart. As expected, he would feel happy when he saw the person he liked smile. Xuanhuan answered with a grin, I happened to pass by and didn't expect to see youngest aunt at home, so I came in to say hello. Zhao Xinhui nodded. So that's how it is. Yes, youngest aunt is so happy to see you. Xuanhuan didn't hide his joy at all and smiled at Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Xinhui curled her lips. That's right, youngest aunt, why are you at home? Xuanhuan asked curiously. Zhao Xinhui's mood sank at the mention of this. She didn't want to come back, but she had no choice. Young Master Meng had asked her to come back, so she couldn't refuse. She had been in the countryside for a few days now. Zhao Xinhui was a little anxious because young Master Meng hadn't sent anyone to pick her up. How could life in the countryside be better than in the Meng residence? Food and daily necessities aside, it was much hotter living in her shabby thatched hut than in the Meng residence on a hot summer day. She hadn't slept well these past few nights because of the hot weather and mosquito bites. She was a little dispirited and didn't have much energy during the day. She only hoped that young Master Meng would pick her up as soon as possible so that she wouldn't have to suffer in the ravine. Of course, she couldn't say this to Xuanhuan, so she casually replied, "It's nothing, I'm just going back to my parents' home for a few days." "Don't tell me I can't go back to my parents' home after getting married?" Xuanhuan hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Of course not, Auntie. It's good to go back to your parents' home. It's best if you stay there for a few more days. That way I can see you more often." After Xuanhuan finished speaking, he realized that he had let the cat out of the bag. His ears turned red and he lowered his head, not daring to look into Zhao Xinhui's eyes. Zhao Xinhui chuckled. She felt that Xuanhuan was really interesting. It seemed that this guy was still thinking about her. Although he was a poor boy, Xuanhuan was more to her liking. If it weren't for the fact that Xuanhuan was too poor, she would have considered it. Of course, that was in the past. Now that she was married to young Master Meng, there was no possibility of a relationship between her and Xuanhuan. When Zhao Ping'er heard Xuanhuan's words, she clenched her teeth in jealousy. It was all her auntie's fault for seducing her big brother Yuan on purpose. She was too much. Zhao Xinhui sensed Zhao Ping'er's hostility. She raised her head nonchalantly and greeted Zhao Ping'er. "Last Ping'er, you're here too? Why didn't I greet Auntie when I saw her? In any case, I'm your elder. Don't you know how to be polite in front of me?" Zhao Ping'er wished she could scratch Zhao Xinhui's seductive face. How could she be in the mood to greet her? "You're not my elder." Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips and said unhappily. Zhao Xinhui twisted her head and said in a lecturing tone, "Lass, how can you speak like that?" Xuanhuan's self-reproachful voice rang out. "That's right. Zhao Ping'er, how can you speak to Andy like that? You should be more respectful to your elders." "All right, I'll listen to you. Mother won't nag anymore." Zhao Xinhui grunted in response and ignored Xuanhuan and Zhao Ping'er. She continued to munch on the melon seeds on the plate. There was nothing to do in the countryside. She could only sit in the courtyard and enjoy the cool air while munching on melon seeds. However, it was a hot day and her mouth was dry from munching on melon seeds. Zhao Xinhui called out to xuanhuan, "Mother, get me a glass of cold water. I'm so thirsty." Chapter 1755. Zhao Xinhui glanced at Xuanhuan indifferently and asked in an indifferent voice, "Why are you still here?" Xuanhuan's heart suddenly tightened, and he asked somewhat disappointedly, "Auntie, why are you chasing me away?" Zhao Xinhui replied angrily. Although she was talking to Xuanhuan, she was blaming Zhao Ping'er. "If I don't chase you away, my eldest niece will accuse me of seducing you again. I can't afford to be accused of such a big crime for no reason. So you'd better leave. Otherwise, she'll come after me with all her might." After Zhao Xinhui finished speaking, Xuanhuan finally understood what was going on. It was all that idiot Zhao Ping'er's fault. She couldn't do anything right, but she was good at ruining things. Because of her, Andy didn't want to talk to him anymore. Xuanhuan hurriedly said, "Auntie, don't talk to Zhao Ping'er. She's just a jealous woman. She can't bear to see me with any other woman. Besides, Andy, you didn't seduce me. I was the one who stuck to you. I just wanted to talk to you more." Seeing how shameless Xuanhuan was, Zhao Xinhui couldn't help but want to laugh. She glanced at Zhao Ping'er again. Her eyes were already red with jealousy, but because Xuanhuan was here, Zhao Ping'er didn't dare to say anything. She could only endure it. Xuanhuan continued to smile ingratiatingly. "Andy, just talk to me. Say anything. I'll be happy to hear your voice." Zhao Xinhui's smile deepened. She teased Xuanhuan, "You're quite sweet. Andy, I'm just telling the truth. I'm not trying to make you happy." Okay, I know. Since you're so diligent, I won't stop you. The water is in the house, bring it out for me to drink." Hearing Zhao Xinhui's command, Xuanhuan immediately became excited. He ran into the room and helped Zhao Xinhui attentively. Zhao Xinhui came out with a glass of water, handed it to Zhao Xinhui and said to Zhao Xinhui, "Here, Auntie, drink it. It's not hot, you can drink it directly." Zhao Xinhui looked at Qin Yuan with a smile in his eyes. He lazily took the water from Qin Yuan. After a few gulps, he poured it into his stomach. "Auntie, do you still want more? Do you want me to pour you some more?" "All right, that's enough. There's no need." Zhao Xinhui waved his hand. Zhao Ping'er clenched her fists in jealousy, and her nails almost dug into her flesh. When had her big brother Yuan ever been so gentle to her? Zhao Xinhui glanced at Zhao Ping'er a few times, intentionally or otherwise. Seeing Zhao Xinhui's angry look, Zhao Xinhui felt a sense of satisfaction in her heart. This wretched girl, I have to anger her properly. Let's see if she still knows the rules in the future. "Auntie, I'm thirsty too. Can I drink the remaining water in your glass?" Qin Yuan asked. "Drink it if you want, but I've already used this glass. Do you want to go into the house and use a different glass?" Zhao Xinhui raised her eyebrows and asked. Qin Yuan quickly waved his hand and replied cheekily, "No need, Auntie likes it. I'll use the glass that you've already drunk from." Zhao Xinhui burst into laughter, amused by Qin Yuan. This man really seemed to care about her a lot. And he was so direct with his words, not hiding his feelings at all. Chapter 1756. What a wonderful feeling that would be. Qin Yuan was about to take the cup that Zhao Xinhui drank from and continue drinking when Zhao Ping'er stood at the side and said to Tong Yi with a bitter look, "Big brother Yuan, you can't drink it." Qin Yuan replied unhappily, "Why can't I drink it?" Zhao Ping'er pouted and said very aggrievedly, "Big brother Yuan, after you drink it, isn't it equivalent to indirectly kissing little aunt? You're my man. How can you do this?" Qin Yuan rolled his eyes at Zhao Ping'er. "You're the one who talks too much. It's my business that I like to drink little aunt's saliva. If you say anything else, I'll divorce you later. In this day and age, the wife has to obey the husband. Whatever the husband says, the wife has to listen to. How is it your turn to judge what I do?" Zhao Ping'er was frightened by Qin Yuan's words. She knew that with Qin Yuan's character, it was not impossible for him to divorce her. Her big brother Yuan did not like her that much in the first place. Big brother Yuan? Zhao Ping'er looked at Zhao Xinhui bitterly and put all the blame on Zhao Xinhui. Zhao Xinhui raised his eyebrows unhappily. "Ping'er lass, why are you looking at me like that? Wouldn't that put the blame on me again?" Qin Yuan's cold gaze immediately landed on Zhao Ping'er, scaring Zhao Ping'er so much that she hurriedly said, "It's nothing. I just feel that the clothes on this young lady are really pretty." Zhao Xinhui smirked proudly. "Of course. How can the clothes of a rich person be the same as those of a country bumpkin? Ping'er lass, do you know that the clothes I'm wearing are worth more than 10 taels of silver?" Zhao Xinhui's tone was full of radiance. When she was happy, she deliberately stood up and walked around in front of Zhao Ping'er, showing the dress to Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Xinhui was wearing a light pink dress, which was as cool as the season. However, the light-colored clothes accentuated Zhao Xinhui's fair skin and slim figure. As the saying goes, clothes make the man and Buddha makes the man. Zhao Xinhui was already considered delicate and pretty. Now that she was wearing a beautiful long dress, she looked even more beautiful. Qin Yuan's gaze landed on Zhao Xinhui, unwilling to shift away for a long time. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Zhao Xinhui was really too beautiful. Compared with Zhao Ping'er, that ugly woman, she was simply a white swan and a toad. Because he hadn't seen Zhao Xinhui for a while, Qin Yuan's thoughts slowly faded. He didn't hate Zhao Ping'er as much as before. However, after seeing Zhao Xinhui again, there was a comparison. Naturally, his disgust for Zhao Ping'er increased. When Zhao Ping'er heard Zhao Xinhui say that the clothes were worth more than 10 taels of silver, she couldn't help but sigh. Rich people were indeed rich. A dozen taels of silver was enough to live a normal life for a few years. How is it? Pretty, right? Zhao Xinhui raised her eyebrows and asked. Pretty? Zhao Ping'er responded. Her jealousy towards Zhao Xinhui grew even stronger. Why did her aunt have such a good life? Not only did she win Brother Yuan's heart, she even married into a rich family and lived a good life. I still have a lot of these clothes. Look, I even put 2 of them in the courtyard. Zhao Xinhui pointed at the 2 long dresses not far away with a proud look on her face. Zhao Ping'er glanced at them. Another 2 beautiful dresses. They didn't look cheap either. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.